you find somebody who might not be that strong but looks fantastic. And you have to wonder, is there any point going into a gym and being the strongest guy in there if you don't look like the strongest guy in there?
Own it. Yo, you just own it. 'Cause your body's on fire.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Versus. On this episode, we're going to be talking about strength versus aesthetics. And by aesthetics, I mean the way you look, the way your body looks. So most guys, including myself, it might take them 5 to 10 years to finally figure out how to get into shape, how to finally, find the training that works best for them, and finally find the training that makes them look the way that they want to look. And I know I was one of these people. You start off in the gym, you look around at the guys that are already big, that are already lifting heavy, and you want to play catch up. Very few people will start off training for aesthetics, the way they look, or training the right way, or doing the correct reps. I guarantee that most of us, including me, like I said, will go into the gym and try and lift as heavy as possible. Try and break a PB every time they get in the gym, and do nothing but kind of compound lifts, and maybe not even compound lifts, to be honest, maybe just vanity lifts. So every day, I know it's a compound lift, but every day will be bench press, chest exercises. We've all been through it where we've messed up. If you haven't, you're very lucky. You've cut the curve. Maybe you had a mental. But at some point you need to decide. So if you want to be a strong man, fair enough, chase that dream down. But for a lot of guys, it doesn't really make sense to be the strongest guy in the gym. Now, I kind of learned this last year. I was doing around about 230 kg deadlifts. I was benching about 140 kg. I was stacking the lat pull down, the seated lat pull, 50 kg dumbbell press, one in each hand. And that was easy. That was 8 reps, 3 sets. It got very easy. And I felt like I was somewhat of the strongest guy in the gym, or at least anybody who was in the gym at that time. There was always one or two, but at any given time, I felt like I was the strongest. I think my squat was about 160 kg, around about 8 reps, I think. But it all meant nothing, because there's some people who can't lift what I could lift, but they looked a lot better than me. And this happens all over the world all the time. You find somebody who might not be that strong, but looks fantastic. And you have to wonder, is there any point going into a gym and being the strongest guy in there if you don't look like the strongest guy in there? Or if you don't look good in general, if that makes sense. Wouldn't you rather be the 20th strongest guy in there, but with the best body? Now, I know a lot of the time the guy with the best body can I'd say probably sometimes the guy with the best body can be the strongest because he trains a lot. But the majority of occasions, the guys that are doing, let's say, Mr. Olympia, I don't think they look the best, but the guys that are doing Mr. Olympia aren't that strong. And the guys that are doing, the world's strongest man, Eddie Hall, I don't think they look that good. So, and that's just my opinion. I remember seeing a video very recently by Mike Thurston, who's a UK PT, or used to be a UK PT. I think now he's just a fitness influencer, doing very, very well for himself. I'd like to get him on this podcast, actually. He seems like a decent guy, knows a lot about fitness. And he said that he used to train for strength and bodybuilding as such. He said, but he got to a point where he thought, what's the point? Like, I'm not looking any better. So within the last 2 or 3 years, he started to train for aesthetics, the way he looks. He's tried to train a muscle to, let's say, maybe it isn't as functional, but it looks fantastic. And when you break it down, guys, you really realize that, it makes more sense to look good than it does to be strong. Are you trying to be the world's strongest man? Are you trying to break the bench press record? Are you trying to be a super athlete? Are you in the NFL? Probably not. So you think to yourself, 99.9% of your life, you're simply just walking around, just showing your appearance. There's very, very, very few occasions where you will have to show that you're the strongest man in the room. If you don't have a giant ego, that is. How many fights does the average person have in a year? You know, if you're lucky, 0. The average person maybe 1 or 2, you know, if you're unlucky, and that's pushing it. I think in this era, if you live in the right place, probably 0 to 1. And even then, it's not really a real fight, is it? You know, unless you box or you do MMA or something, you know, but that's training, that's sparring, is a little bit different. It could be competitive, but it's under the rules, you know, you've got a referee in there, it's not quite the same. So you do think to yourself, what is the point in being the strongest guy in the room if you never get to use it or show it? It's kind of pointless. And you don't even look like the strongest guy in the room. So how about you just chase after aesthetics, make your body look as good as possible, and not only will you look fantastic, well, people will probably think that you're the strongest guy in the room. It's a weird catch-22. So a lot of people have to realize, I had a trainer before who actually spent a lot of time in prison, and he knew everything that there was to know about fitness. And he said that his mentor in fitness, not in life, wouldn't have been a great mentor, would it, in prison? He always used to say, we're training muscles, not egos. And I think a lot more people need to realize that you don't have to be the strongest guy in the gym. Drop the weight down quite a bit. Sorry, I'd say drop the weight down, but you'd be going that way, wouldn't you? So lift less, but make sure your form's correct. Make sure you're getting decent muscle growth. Make sure you're looking better, rather than trying to lift on an ego basis and be the strongest guy in the gym. Because out on the street, and to be honest, even in the gym, it means absolutely nothing in 2020. So if we're going to debate strength versus aesthetics, I'd say aesthetics wins this one by quite a margin.
I don't know everything you they do me, we just they scatter my brain.
Fuck loving when I put you in your place. I can tell you love it just by looking in your face. It's the way that you wind up your waist. I'm so in awe, girl, you never have to worry about nothing. You know it's yours, you know you own it.